Hey folks, welcome to the Scroll of Thoth. This is James, aka Thresciornis. Those who watched the last video noticed that we're trying to do some improvements around here in our video quality and just kind of make things better, more watchable. I think the last video was pretty good. There were some issues, had some issues with audio and a little bit with the lighting, some of the camera work. So it's still a work in progress. But things are getting better, and this video is going to be a little less ambitious, so I don't foresee any of those problems with this one. I am asking you to stick around after we're done talking to catch up on the show and things that are going on. Have some news for you, but let's jump into the subject of Gnostic Revelation. The first thing I want to point out is that we're not talking about Gnosticism. We're not talking about the religion or the belief or philosophy of Gnosticism. If you want to learn about that, please go check out our friends at Aeon Byte Gnostic Radio and the website thegodabovegod.com. Miguel Connor, really cool dude. He was on one of the Scroll of Thoth podcasts that we did back in the day. So great source there for Gnosticism. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Gnosis. We're talking about Gnostic in a more general term. Now, the thing is about the word Gnostic is that so many different magical traditions have adopted this word and given their own meaning to this word, chaos magic being a prime example, and things can get a little bit confusing. I know I tried to alleviate some of that confusion by proposing using the word lumen. I don't think that's going to catch on real soon. So we still need to talk about Gnosis. We still need to talk about Gnostic. And what we're talking about today is Gnostic as in revealed wisdom. Things that are experienced that gives you knowledge of the spiritual. That is how we're using the word Gnostic here today. And we're talking about the different ways that we receive these revelations and what they can mean and ways to make them more useful. This kind of revelation is really the core of emergent magic. If you go back and you watch our video on emergence, you'll see that emergent magic leans heavily into the idea that you should be basing your magical practice on the gnosis, on the knowledge that you receive during ritual. The thing is, you do need to be cautious about that. You do need to be discerning about the revelations that you receive during ritual or during other Gnostic states. Because, well, there could be some downsides here, stuff that could drive you crazy, stuff that's just not really important that you receive. So you need some discernment. And the first way you do that is by developing a practice of meditation. Like we've said time and time again. And what meditation does is it lets you practice being detached. It lets you practice looking at things as neither good or bad, and it helps you to evaluate them non-judgmentally. So that's the first thing you should be doing. You should be on a course of meditation, and there's lots of courses of meditation, and some of them specifically designed for this sort of thing. Now, I was extremely lucky in my life in that in college, I ended up having a mentor who was an ex-Jesuit priest. He married an ex-nun, a child of the 60s, a real hoopy fruit. And when I was beating my head against the wall at the history department and realizing that there's no way I was going to fulfill the foreign language requirement for that degree, theme of my life. um, I went to my friend in the religion department, in comparative religion, who I've taken a bunch of classes with already, and I asked him, what's the foreign language requirement for comparative religion? He's like, there isn't one. So that day I went down to the guidance office and I changed my major. And my mentor, he not only gave me that advice, but he also helped me out a lot in that he was willing to provide directed study courses for me, so I can catch up, get more credits in religion so I can get my degree. And so what we would do is he'd have me read a book and we would walk around campus and talk about it. It was great. It was really an amazing time. And of course, one of those things that he had me read was the exercises of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuit order. And nowadays, the Catholics kind of look at these exercises as just like a spiritual retreat, something you do to renew your faith and that sort of thing, which that's fine. That's a way you can use it. But Ignatius specifically designed these exercises, these spiritual exercises, meditations, really, to help you know when something is a revelation from God and something is coming not from God. In fact, he had 14 rules for the discernment of spirits, which, okay, as a magician and a pagan, these rules may not be for me, but they are a great insight into this kind of thinking. I'll give you a few examples of them. The first rule: in the persons who go from mortal sin to mortal sin, the enemy is commonly used to propose to them apparent pleasures, making them imagine sensual delights and pleasures in order to hold them more and make them grow in their vices and sins. In these persons, the good spirit uses the opposite method, pricking them and biting their conscience through the process of reason. The ninth: there are three principal reasons why we find ourselves desolate. The first is because of our being tepid, lazy, or negligent in our spiritual exercises, and so through our faults, spiritual consolation withdraws from us. The second, to try us and to see how much we are and how much we let ourselves out in His service, and praise without such great pay of consolation and great graces. The third, to give us true acquaintance and knowledge, that we may interiorly feel that it is not ours to get or keep great devotion, intense love, tears, or any other spiritual consolation, but that all is the gift and grace of God our Lord, and that we may not build a nest in a thing not ours, raising our intellect into some pride or vainglory, attributing to us devotion or the other things of the spiritual consolation. The 11th, that him who is consoled see to humbling himself and lowering himself as much as he can, thinking how little he is able for in the time of desolation without such grace or consolation. On the contrary, let him who is in desolation think that he can do much with the grace sufficient to resist all his enemies, taking strength in his Creator and Lord. So you can see in those that, yes, it's a very Christian perspective, but he's also warning against not taking things to extreme. Don't let your emotions override you. Take calm, be in a meditative state, And you'll better be able to determine what is true Gnostic revelation and what is just noise. And there's a lot of noise out there. Because for me, in my opinion, the difference between a magus and a priest is a magus is in control. I've had plenty of times where we've been doing spirit box sessions and I have messages from spirits and the gods themselves telling me to do things, and I don't do them. And my friends who are present for these rituals ask me, it's like, why aren't you doing this? Didn't they tell you to do this? And I'm like, well, they don't run my life. This is a give and take. This is, I am petitioning them and I understand their power, but I am not their slave. And I will give as much as I can, as much as I'm willing. I expect to receive something in return. Don't let Gnostic revelation run your life. Don't let the spirits run your life. Don't ever make the mistake of giving up everything that is you or letting your life run out of control just to please some vision that you've had. That's not what a magus does. That's what a fanatic does. The next thing we need to talk about is a term that's bandied around a lot: unverified personal gnosis, or UPG. Sometimes people use it as a dig, as a put down. It's like, well, all that you just said is unverified personal gnosis. And well, okay, that's fine. But you can look back through the history of magic, look at the grimoires, look at anything, and they all start with unverified personal gnosis. And they only become verified, they only become important when you have people out there doing these things over and over again and achieving similar results. So don't beat yourself up about unverified personal gnosis. Every grimoire in existence started as unverified personal gnosis. Some of it's passed down wisdom. And you guys know me. You know how much I respect history and I respect those things. And you should definitely pay attention to something that's been used for generations. But you should also pay attention to what you're receiving. And there are ways to verify it. You've heard me talk time and time again about the Estes method, and how, we create a blind where the person who's receiving doesn't know what questions are being asked. And if their answers match up with what's being asked, then maybe there's something to this. It's not proof, but it's evidence. It lends credence to it. And then, of course, share it with your peers. Share it with your peers. That's why that's one of the cornerstones of emergent magic, is working together with your tribe, doing rituals with them. And I will often, bring rituals to a sabbat that are basically there to help me verify my gnosis, to see if other people had the same experiences. Shouldn't be ashamed of doing that. Now, I know there are some people who I greatly respect, who say that you should always keep the temple door closed. You shouldn't let people in. You shouldn't tell them what you're doing there. That's a secret. That's between you and the spirits. And that's one perspective. That's one perspective. But that doesn't help in verifying anything. If you're not sharing with your peers, then you're losing a tool there that could help you along in your practice. So find ways to test your revelations, share rituals with your tribe, see if you get other people to talk to the same spirits, see if they get the same kind of information. Work at it and record all of it. That is another big key to discerning if your Gnostic revelation is worthwhile. Is you're recording this and you're keeping a record, and you can go back and say, oh yeah, that is a continuation of something that was said before. So once again, you got a phone, right? You can video record, you can audio record, you can take notes anywhere, anytime. Do that. All right, to give you some updates here on the channel, things that are going on. So we're at 1 year now with the Scroll of Thoth. I wish I could say that I was completely happy with the success so far, but as you guys know, trying to improve things, trying to get better. And there's people out there, there's people listening. We're creeping up on 500 subscribers. That's going to happen really soon. And like I said, when that happens, I'm going to do another Getting to Know the Scroll of Thoth video. But for the most part, things are going to be slowing down a little here. I'm going to make videos that are unlike this video in some respects, that are longer, that take more research, that are more in depth, take more time editing, filming, all that stuff. I just want to produce a better product. But don't despair, because I'm also starting another series of videos that are going to be here on the Scroll of Thoth channel. So most of you already know about my new project, Midwest Spirits Paranormal Investigation. And I've made promises that, I'm going to keep those things separate from the Scroll of Thoth. I've given you some, previews and things like that. And just, the more I do it, the more I'm into it, the more I realize how much these things are related. So I'm going to start a series of videos called Temple Talk. These videos are going to be shorter, they're going to be more casual, and they're going to get posted here on Scroll of Thoth and also posted on Midwest Spirits channel. And all those videos will have some kind of intersection between magic and paranormal. I think they're going to be really cool, and I'm going to try to do as many of those as I can. Another thing that I think is going to make a lot of you guys happy is that, starting in April, like I said, we're only going to do one long form Scroll of Thoth video a month. But April, we're going back to Egypt. We're going to talk about Edfu Temple. And this is going to be part of a series. It's not going to be like Egyptian magical practice where I do a bunch in a row. It's something I'm going to do every few months, where I examine one of the temples of ancient Egypt, and use that as a spring point to talk about the kind of things that went on there, what the rituals were like, and of course, relating that back to how you could use that in your own magical practice. And I know it might surprise a lot of you that I picked a Ptolemaic era temple, Edfu, and a Horus temple to boot. But it's an amazing place. It's probably the most intact ancient temple in Egypt today. So those are going to be fun. We'll do a long form video on that. But hey, you guys need to tell me what you want. You need to tell me what you like about these videos and maybe what you don't like about these videos. You know where the comment section is, and you guys know how to get a hold of me on Facebook. And of course, I'm asking you to subscribe to our Ko-Fi, where you can get the entire Scroll of Thoth podcast archive. bonus videos, bonus content, essays, stuff like that, that I don't have anywhere else to put it. And you can just subscribe for $3 a month, just $3 a month. It really helps out. Sometime within the next 2 weeks, the store on our Ko-Fi page, which anyone can access, you don't have to be a subscriber, incense is going to be back in stock. Some of my hand-dipped incense. It's really delightful. I think you guys will enjoy it. But hey, one easy thing you can do right now to help us out is hit like and subscribe. That would be awesome. Get me to those 500 subscribers. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.